Plantago major. The nickname for this plant is braids. This is part 1, and in part 2 I'll be sharing a mnemonic or memory technique to help you commit to memory the most distinguishing characteristics of this plant for identifying purposes. Be sure to watch all of part 1 so that part 2 is understandable. This is a weedy plant. Each plant can grow up to 12 inches across and up to 20 inches tall. It features a flowering spike. The stems are somewhat erect, and the flowering spikes are about the size and shape of a lead pencil. Each stem grows from out of a rosette of leaves. Now this rosette can grow from 5 to 12 inches across. And each leaf can grow from 2 to 5 inches long. These leaves can sometimes be just as wide as they are long, but generally they could be classified as being egg-shaped. And that is key for the mnemonic coming up in part 2. This picture shows us a rosette of leaves and the flowering spikes, of course, but we can see how the leaf stems have this concave groove along the length of the leaf stem or the base of the leaf. It's important to help identify this plant or distinguish it from other species of Plantago. The edges can be wavy, as you see here. They can be smooth or jagged. This picture also shows us how the flowering spike takes up the upper 2/3, generally, the upper 2/3 of the flowering stem, and the lower 1/3 is leafless. These spikes here are dense with seed pods. These seed pods develop after the flowers. I'll go back here for just a moment because the upper 2/3 description is, as you see, a general rule, but there are exceptions. These seed pods initially are green. they later become brown or even have more of a purple color. This shows us a leaf which is just as wide as it is long. It also features the well-defined veins, which is characteristic of all Plantagos. These well-defined veins radiate from the leaf stem and they form a circle. Parallel veins forming a circle. The surface is waxy. The roots are very fibrous. The seed pods are tiny. They too, like the leaves, are generally classified as being egg-shaped. At maturity, they open right through the middle, which distinguishes it from one of its lookalikes, which is of the same species or which is of the same family and is edible. But that particular lookalike, the seed pods split through below the middle toward the bottom here. Details about that is shared on the fact sheet of Plantago Major at survivalplantsmemorycourse.com. The well-defined veins number between 3 and 5. There are 4 stamen. As you see, the flowers develop here along the top, and the seed pods eventually develop after the flowering stage is over, here below the flower. This represents the flowering stage. In the mnemonic, this is referred to as being frizzy. And this particular flowering stalk or braid, this is where the plant derives its nickname from, because it resembles a braid. This particular braid is not frizzy. It is smooth. Fibrous roots. This illustration shows us how the stems can be slightly hairy. but they can also be hairless. This leaf represents one with margins or edges which are jagged. You look closely here, you will see which represents the underside of this leaf blade, where the underside of the leaves can bear fine hairs just along the prominent veins, whereas again the top surface would be smooth and have somewhat of a waxy texture. Now this illustration shows us the contrast between the top surface of the leaf, which is of a darker green, and the bottom portion or side of the leaf, which is of a lighter green. A crown of fibrous roots, flowering stalks about the same size and shape of a lead pencil, generally taking up the upper 2/3 of a somewhat erect stem. Concave groove. Another good example of how these veins form a circle. Or oval to be more technical. Concave groove. Egg-shaped or spoon-shaped. How you can be sure that you have a Plantago is to damage or separate, tear the leaf blade, and the veins will remain intact. Purple anthers on the tip of each stamen. There are 4 stamen per flower. Seed pods, densely arranged along the upper 2/3 of a somewhat erect stem. seed pods initially are green, but do eventually turn brown to a purplish color, as we see here. Eventually turn brown or a purplish color. Initially green. As we see here in this particular flowering spike, there are some portions which are still in the flowering stage. Mature seed pods, open right through the middle. They have two cells or two sections. There's one here. There's a wall, and the second cell is here. Each seed pod releases between 6 and 15 seeds. These seeds are brown to almost black. They are typically flattened and are described in general as being oval, but frequently bear angular edges. Angular edges here. These seeds are from 1 to 1.5 millimeters long, very tiny. Lots of angular edged seeds here. Flattened overall. The edible parts of this plant are the seeds and the leaves. To learn how to prepare these parts, visit survivalplantsmemorycourse.com. Click on Plantago Major, common name, Broadleaf Plantain, and the nickname Braids. You'll find a section that is entitled Methods of Preparation. You'll find the methods of preparation there. This has been part 1, and in part 2 I'll be sharing a mnemonic or memory technique to help you commit to memory the most distinguishing characteristics of this plant for identifying purposes. Thank you for watching.